For
It's a good time. Let's start. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to In a Hot Seat with Dubber, a webinar about compliant call recording solutions and why these are essentials in today's modern business landscape. My name is Anna Skolaszinska-Barnett, and I'm a vendor manager at Nuvias UC. And today I'm very pleased to be joined by my colleague, Mr. Dustin James, who is a director of sales for Benelux and Nordics at Nuvias UC. Also, Mr. James Slaney, CCO and one of the founders of Dubber, is with us here today. You can see one more person on the screen, and it's our marketing guru, Cora Kemp, who will be making sure that the webinar runs smoothly. Now, before we begin, I would like to start with a few housekeeping rules. So first of all, your microphones are muted for the duration of the webinar. To ask the question, please use the QA functionality button. The webinar is recorded and the link will be shared with you afterwards. We want to make the session as interactive as it's possible, and therefore we'll run several polls throughout to engage you and ensure we cover the elements and issues that are the most important to you. And this will be based on your answers. At the end of the sessions, we will also ask you to provide us with the feedback. We would like to know if the webinar was what you expected and how you would like to change it, if so, in the future. So now let me properly introduce Dustin to you. Dustin, welcome. Could you please start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your role at Nuvias UC?
So thank you, Anna, and thanks for joining us, James, and for arranging Cora. So hi, my name is Dustin James. I am the sales director for Nuvias UC, responsible for the Benelux and the Nordic regions. I've been with Nuvias for about 6 years and in the distribution and telecoms for over 25, 30 years now. If we can go to the next slide, please. For the people that don't know Nuvias, or maybe just know a part of Nuvias, maybe from the hardware perspective, or maybe just from the Zoom perspective, our goal at Nuvias is to provide multiple products on top of or as an addition to, for example, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WebEx, BroadSoft, RingCentral. So if you're a Teams reseller, we have certified hardware for that, but we also have solutions like Dubber that are complementary on top of. Also, we work with Oracle as an SBC specialist. So we have a full range of products to help you as a reseller to build out your portfolio and to be more engaging with your customers. With that, next slide, please. So with that, it's a build up. So with that, we have more or less within Nuvias UC, under one house, one roof. We have 2 product sets. We have distribution and services. So we're not a broadliner. We do have broadline functionality at Nuvias UC. We can do drop shipments of handsets and headsets, etc. But we also have a full line of services and complementary products on top of, including our SaaS solutions. So just going back to the house slide, we really concentrate on Teams, on Zoom, on BroadSoft. I think we're missing WebEx and RingCentral here as well. With that, we have connectivity services. As you can see, we do the full broad line of hardware on the other side. And on top of that, we have a full line of professional services, which include provisioning, consulting, support. So for example, as today we're talking to Dubber, if you don't do anything in the call recording space or insight space, we help you engage with the vendor. We will then help you train your sales the teams. We will help you create a go-to-market strategy for the specific vendor as well. Next slide, please. As we're on the services side of things, just so you know, currently we have 5 different offices in Europe, actually 6, one in Wales and the UK, which is the headquarters. We have our office here in Rotterdam for the Netherlands, Benelux, and Nordic region. We have 2 offices in Germany and an office in Paris for France that handles south of Europe. From the 125 people that work at Nuvias, we have approximately 25, 30 sales engineers, architects that support our services department with that. We have a broad reach throughout the world, actually. We have a global reach, and we could provide 24/7 services for a whole bunch of different things. So that's Nuvius in a nutshell. Over to you, James, to talk about Dubber.
Absolutely. James, let's bring you in because as a co-founder of Dubber and CCO, you have a unique perspective on the industry. So can you share with us the origins of Dubber and what inspired the creation of the compliant call recording, and how did you move from the beginnings to the AI that now underpins, obviously, the Dubber proposal?
Well, thanks, Anna, and thanks, Dustin. Thanks for having us on the session today. Yes, so I am the Chief Commercial Officer of Dubber, obviously a co-founder. Been around since the start, obviously, which is over 10 years now, which is, I still wake up thinking that call recording is a great thing every day. I guess that, you know, from the start, we came at the call recording perspective that everything was moving to cloud. Businesses were going to transition to cloud. So we needed to build a platform that was globally deployed, could easily connect into all the platforms. That's why it's very complementary that we're on the panel here today with Nuvius, because of everything that Dustin just said. Everything that, you know, from Microsoft Teams, Zoom, that's all BroadWorks on that platform. We are a platform that's been built from the cloud from day one. It's globally deployed. It works with the biggest networks, and the aim is to work with the largest of networks globally. As you can see there on the screen, it says Dubber, the world's leading, I think it said conversation capture. So that's our way we talk about call recording and conversation intelligence. So we have this strong foundation in call recording. The platform's built to service SMB, so the smallest of market, and we scale right up to the largest of enterprises globally. So we support many of the largest tier 1 banks in Europe, United States, and Australia as well. So we are connected to networks that are the Verizon mobile network in the US, AT&T, Vodafone. So we've got huge networks connected to the platform. So everyone should have a lot of confidence in the quality, the security, and the reliability of the platform as well. Next slide, please. So we just look at call recording, and as I said, we've got this strong foundation in recording. It's built in the cloud, and the idea behind that is, especially with the services that Dustin talked about, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and all the products that you can buy or acquire through Nuvius, is that once it's actually you've bought the subscription through Dubber, you can activate it immediately. The service is sitting there waiting, and it can be connected up and begin recording calls on your chosen platform across one department or every department, across multiple regions in the world, through one single pane of glass. So if you've got Zoom and Teams in your business, you could deploy both of them and use Dubber across both different types of deployments. As I said, we service the largest of banks, tier 1s for regulatory requirements. So all the requirements such as, you know, you can bring your own key, SSO, we can do legal hold, all those things that banks and the big guys require. But also we service the largest, smallest of businesses. So for debt collection, for dispute resolution. So, and it's delivered in a way which actually makes sense to get it to market very fast and deploy it very quickly. The next slide, please. Now, obviously, we've got this really strong sort of presence around capturing content in voice and communications. So what, you know, 5-6 years ago, we invested heavily into how can we deliver in the same concept of our call recording, out of the box insights that is easily understood for the end customer to switch it on and get learn something about their business, which they want to know or they need to know about their business, but previously completely unavailable because it's all about the communications within their business. So through the power of the platform, we've delivered what we call moments, and we focus those on specific things around, such as your customer. Is their customer complaining? Are they satisfied with your service? Is your sales team selling well? Are they doing the right thing? Are they actually following what you should think how they should sell in retail stores, or how they should act and what they should say on the phone? We also look at for environmental social governance, so like abuse. Is your team getting abused, or is there inter-department abuse? The way I look at that is if you're selling a highly emotive product, or we have a end customer who sells homes, they really want to know how their staff are being dealt with, or how the end customer is dealing with their staff. But what we do is we switch it on, we map the conversation throughout the whole business, and we provide quick insights around. So if it's complaints, we can tell you what people are complaining about, what topics it relates to, and what product underlying or what service underlying relates to those topics out of the box. So it's very powerful, and it's something that most businesses have never had access to get to that. And that's directly interconnected with the likes of Teams, Zoom, and every other service we can connect to and record on. It's very powerful, and it's very quick to get.
James,
James, just a quick one. We both are very excited to talk to you. You are talking about this ones, and it sounds very interesting, but can you tell us why people cannot just basically use Microsoft Teams and Zoom to do it, and what the word compliant actually means in a context of call recording?
Sure. So both in Microsoft Teams, let's just focus on the compliant version of recording for the moment. So make that really clear. Most of these services, Microsoft Teams and Zoom, you can do some level of recording, but what all businesses who need a compliant version of recording, or they want to make sure they can control who has access to the recordings, permission-based access. This is most businesses who need call recording. They need to have a system that actually can manage that in a way that is how they need to do that, which is either length of storage, so whether that's 5, 7 years or permanent storage, permission-based access, as I said, legal hold, so the ability to, if it's a regulated market, the regulator might say, no, we want to investigate, or can you give us the recordings for specific people in specific timeframes in your business? That means we can't delete those recordings. So we call that legal hold. And most of this is around the security and compliance functionality that's built into the system, which is very different to the embedded sort of functionality you would see through Microsoft Teams or Zoom. So we see that's where we're getting a lot of traction in this market for the compliant market. But also, as I said, it does go down to the smaller market when most businesses, they want to record calls or need to record calls, but they want the team leader to access the calls, not the employee. Now that's where Dubber comes into play as well. So it's the whole breadth of recording. So we've taken all that functionality and applied that into the AI as well, as we bring the AI functionality out. Hopefully that answers your question, Anna.
No, absolutely fine. It's just because Gartner predicted that by 2025, 75% of business conversations will be recorded. Therefore, is call recording a necessity in a modern business world because of the legal issues, because of escalations, because of customer service, because we want to know more about our customers in order to retain them.
Yep. So what we're seeing is the more that businesses want to know about, how they can improve, or how they're dealing with their staff, we're seeing that demand has really gone past. That's why I do say that it's beyond compliance. Compliance generally was specific parts of businesses or large enterprise. But what we're seeing is instead of only maybe a small percentage of a business needing to record calls, it's pretty much now that the entire organization who deals with it, who deals with customers needs to record calls, whether that's traditionally contact center, but now we're going right through the whole part, or the whole company, and switching on for the whole company instead of just a small portion of it.
James, on that, because if we talk about AI, right, voice, when we talk about interaction with AI, voice is key, right? So in that, how does Dubber use the recordings, or do you use the recordings to train your own AI modules? Is something that the customers can do, the resellers, enterprise versions, they can take your voice recordings, put it into some kind of AI tool, and then reuse that?
Yeah, it's I'm trying to just, I know we've got just an image on the screen. This is sort of just taking snapshots out of the application that we've got. But effectively, we've looked at how do businesses, what do they need to understand generally across the board, and then what data can we give them back that they can actually take that further and interrogate that in a deeper sense. So what we've done is we've built standard models obviously it's not just there's not just transcription, and it's not just sentiment. That's what many people think about AI in regards to voice. We've got a lot further than that. We've used the large language models and looked at, can we detect, as I said, let's say is a customer complaining. Is a customer complaining about the quality of service delivery? And in that quality of service delivery, are they maybe talking about, if you're you're a tire supplier, tire fitting company, are they complaining about the quality of the tires they've just bought or the brakes they've just bought? We can give you that data automatically out of the system and present that really quickly in the application or through a notification to team leaders or managers. And they can do that instantly or summarize in a week. Now that's actually just so we can provide instant access to that content. But also we've got the API. Now we've taken transcription, everything much further, and they can use the API and then take that data out and put that into BI tools. We've also, so recently, and I think this will be demonstrated at Mobile World Congress in the next few weeks, is we've done an integration with Copilot, where Dubber provides the content. So Dubber's looking for complaints, for sales or customer satisfaction as examples. You can go into ChatGPT and ask it a question about, as an example, why is Dustin getting complaints more than James is? And ChatGPT will look at the data that Dubber's got and provide you a report on that. Now, that's something that only we can do. Where it's different than probably Copilot, we're looking for business insights across a whole business and then mapping that against the rest of the conversations within that business. So we're getting to understand automatically through the system. So we're not using customer data to train. It's all customers' data. We've all done this through test data, and we applied that to a customer. We can work with customers if they want to, and we can do enhance if that's something down the track. But we don't actually look at anyone's data. We don't use it to train our models either.
Okay, I've got one question from the audience, so I'm gonna ask it to you, James. The question is, the flip side of these recordings is, how does this comply with GDPR regulations? One is not supposed to store recordings.
So all our customers, and this is if you switch it on through Teams, so if you switch on call recording through Teams or Zoom, or I think majority of commercial platforms that carry communications, there'll be an announcement about disclosing that the call is being recorded. And if it's recorded through Dubber, it is stored within region. So it's stored within the region of the end customer. So we've got 9 regions throughout the world. In Europe, we've got 3 deployments that service all of our customers in different locations. So all the data is stored locally. It's all processed locally. Nothing goes international. It's all done within region. So both parties on the call know the calls are being recorded and captured. Same as on this webinar today. It was announced that when we started the webinar, and then we store it locally as well.
Thank you very much. Let's start the conversation. This is the interactive part of the webinar. Cora is going to put some questions on the screen, and I would really like you to vote and sort of pick up the answers that you think it's the most appropriate or reflects your experiences. So first question, what is the primary reason for using call recording in your environment, in your business, in your life?
Sadly, I'm not allowed to answer these questions, am I?
They all apply in one context or another. It's just we want to see which one has the majority in terms of our our audience.
I was just joking.
What do you think is going to be, James? Which one do you think is going to be out of these 6?
I'd love it to be insights and analytics. That'd be fantastic.
I think compliance will win. I think we firstly want to make sure we put the legal stamp on it.
I think, James, that what we see is that today is that a lot of people use it to record like local webinars or local meeting conversations. But I think they don't understand the possibilities of call recording and taking that data, like you said, and using insights or moments to then do something with that. And I think if we can, let's see.
Ooh, this is interesting. Yes, compliance and legal requirements. One, James, how do you feel about those answers? And
no, that makes complete sense. And everything I've just said, it'd be great to do a demonstration of the application, because as you said, Dustin, majority of our customers, when they see the insights analytics, they don't think that's not their first thought. We focus on call recording, and we have a strong foundation in recording. And it's definitely not a surprise there, that compliance and legal requirements, and it's a heavy demand across the whole world, especially in Europe, quite heavily regulated, more than the US and more than most parts of the world, where businesses in certain industries have to record calls and they have to store them for lengthy periods of time. So that is not a surprise in Europe.
Brilliant.
So I'm Australian, so if I do say something that no one understands, I can re-say that again.
It's fine. If anybody in the audience would like to see the power of AI, the power of insight, the power of moments, the power of how Dubber can get this data from voice and convert it into interesting report on what is happening in your business, please let me or Dustin know, and we will run you a demo. customized to whatever you require to see. Question number 2. What used to be the most challenging and now it's easier? Or is there anything that Dubber finds challenging from the position of the vendor and a
I think historically, and I think in teams, I would say actually what's on this, not on this list, is actually getting call recording activated. Because without seeing the answer, if you're currently trying to look at other options than Dubber to record calls on Microsoft Teams, generally you have to buy the software, deploy that in your Azure environment. So you have to run up your own compute in Azure, and then run the recording in your own, recording connected to Teams in your own environment. So you're incurring cost in cloud. So this is a key thing that I suppose where Dubber is different. Be curious to see the answers, because that's a really hard, that's a barrier for many businesses. They don't have the skill set to do that. So that's where I think where Dubber is provided, it's just a subscription service. As I said, we run it completely as a service. If you've got Teams, you run the script, you activate it based on the profile of the user, and Dubber begins recording. So very different to the some of our competitors in the market.
James, before we hit this, is you're talking about Teams, right? And we're talking about compliance, call recording, maybe on Zoom or maybe just WebEx. But it is correct that the Dubber platform is, you can use it over multiple platforms at the same time, right? So if I have my mobile, if I have a fixed line, depending on where that's stored, et cetera, what it's called, how would that look from a user perspective? So if I want to see my recordings on that I've done when I'm in the car, when I'm calling with my mobile, how does that look? Is that one pane of glass? Is it multiple different systems I have to use?
Yeah. So if we've got subscription options with Nuvius, where your customers or your resellers customers can buy a subscription. We call it unified capture. That means that if they have Microsoft Teams and Zoom, they can use that subscription on both of those for a single user. So if I'm the end user, as an example, and I've got Teams through my business and I've got Zoom and I've got a mobile through a connected carrier, I could actually have that all through that one subscription and bring that back into, we record it into Dubber through our cloud, and then we centralize that into your account on Dubber. So when you log in, all those recordings or insights are all centralized into one location. So that's sort of like, because we are a cloud platform, we can do that and have the power to do that.
And from all the 3 different platforms, doesn't matter what platform, you're still having those insights and moments, right? It's still looking at all that. Okay.
Yeah. So we just see it as different feeds from different types of recording applications. Effectively, we record those through obviously the unique data related to every phone call. We know who the users are, and we bring those into the account that is paying for those services. And then when you log in, we've recorded the content, passed it through all the processes it needs to make sure we're actually passing it through other recording. Is it relate to a legal requirement? Is there certain security overlays we need to do? Put it through the AI if you've bought that functionality, and it's all available as you log in. A single login.
Brilliant. Let's go to the next question, please.
Well, hold on. Do we want to look at the reports just to see what we have here? Compliance and regulations. Does that look about right, James? That match what you think it?
Yeah, so most people probably haven't actually tried to assess any insights yet. So let's say that's probably the next step in the evolution of recording for most businesses. And I look at like compliance and regulation. We're still winning. So most of the regulation has been there for some time in Europe. Yeah, so most of them have a need to record calls. We're still winning business in a regulated market, and because it's quite challenging, especially like you look at Microsoft Teams. It is, as I said, it's quite challenging to deploy that. In some ways, so we're quite an easy application to get up and running. And if you, as Dustin said, we do record heavily on mobile as well, and mobile networks in the region. So there is a big market, and as we all know, there's a lot of changes happening in regards to the Microsoft in regards to the mobile space as we move forward. And I think this is going to make a lot of changes in regards to compliance and regulation moving forward.
I've got a question again from one of the people in the audience. He's asking, Microsoft is continuously adding features to Teams. Queues app under the Teams premium license gives the ability to team managers to manage call queues, availability of agents, call analytics, etc. This combined with the transcripts and Copilot covers quite a bit already. How do you position yourself against this?
Yeah, so there's two aspects to that. So we'll focus on the recording side just again. So if a business needs to record to manage those recordings, specifically to assess for a compliance reason or another reason, generally it's to access those recordings and the overlay of functionality just in recording functionality. So how long they keep it for, who has access, can they abide by regulatory requirements, etc. If it's looking at the AI side, it's interesting because what he's talking about there is, yes, transcriptions are available through Microsoft Teams and they can do transcript. And they're really coming at the angle like productivity for the end user, productivity for a team. What we're doing is we've done it very differently. We've spoken to Microsoft about this and they are not going down this path. And to do this with Copilot or some other method is quite cumbersome and really quite difficult. So what we've done is we looked at how can we provide insights across the whole business that Copilot's not doing. Copilot's providing the ability to be more productivity for the user. So as I said, how is the business tracking in regards to how can they assess their performance? Can they improve the quality of what they're saying? Can they assess that we're getting complaints across this type of product or this region? As an example, we've got a retail chain, 78 locations. They realized that 3 of those locations were in their sales motion, were negotiating a product that the other locations were not, and it was a low margin product. So quickly, within a few days of turning on Dubber, that business worked out that in those 3 locations, that's why their sales numbers were lower, is because actually what they were doing is prioritizing the wrong product in their telephone calls when their customers call into that location. So they've changed that, and all of a sudden the revenue and the margin in that location has jumped up. So we really focus on business insights that can be really impactful for a business, provide them something they don't receive today. So we think we've come at a very different angle and complementary to Copilot.
Hey, question number 3. If you could get one key insight from your call recordings, what would it be? What do the customers and businesses nowadays want to know the most? How it is in your environment?
What do you think, James? I'm going to go for employee performance metrics. It's all about the numbers.
I would say you're right.
From a sales perspective. But I guess this has to do with who's using it, right? Because I think if you're looking at a contact center and doing outbound and that side of it, you'd probably look at customer sentiment as well, or sales trends and patterns. So
I was thinking that if it's someone's a traditional reason to record calls, customer sentiment would be high there. We get requests for a sentiment functionality a fair bit, like wanting to know what's the sentiment in a call. It's hard sometimes to actually assess whether sentiment's providing the insight you want. Well, there we go.
Cora, we haven't seen the poll pop up, or I haven't yet. I don't know if everybody has.
No, I'm having some issues with my poll questions. So I'm not getting them. I don't know what happened. So somehow
Screen of death.
I cannot pull them up as a question anymore. And I don't know why. So perhaps it's an idea that we use the poll questions on the screen and that we just do raise hands. So if we go to the first one and say, okay, customer sentiment, if that's your key insight that you need, raise your hand and then I can count hands going forward. And I apologize because I have no idea why my polling isn't working anymore. So a quick workaround. Anna, can you do this with the audience?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I can do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you could get one key insight from your call recordings, what would it be? Please raise the hands if it's customer sentiment. Now, please raise the hands when it's sales trends and patterns. Please raise the hands when it's compliance adherence. Now, if anybody thinks it's employee performance metrics, please do raise your hands. And then if you think now that it's something else, time to raise your hand now. Is it some marketing trick to make sure that the audience is paying attention and didn't fall asleep or listen to, like, I don't know, Rolling Stones in the background?
You weren't allowed to tell the public that, Anna. Come on.
I
fair.
saw a lot of hands getting up by employee performance metrics.
So did I. I think I saw 5 come up.
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
2, 5, 3. Yeah.
Is it linked to the fact that
I think
basically you're all business?
I think I saw a Dubber employee put their hand up for that one, so that makes sense.
Okay, brilliant. I think we have 2 more questions. I guess we are doing this exercise 2 more times. Let's go for it. What is your biggest concerns about implementing or scaling call recording? Please raise the hands if it's privacy and consent issues. Now raise your hands when it's technical setup and integration. Number 3, is it cost versus benefits? Is it beneficial to your company to invest? And is there a return on investment? Please raise your hands now. Number 4, resistance from employees or customers. Do your customers do not want to be recorded? I think it's quite prominent in Germany. People do not want to be recorded. Please raise your hands now. And then other is the time to raise the hands. Cora, have we counted the hands and what it is? And does it differ?
The most hands raised by privacy and consent issues.
James, does it link with your experiences?
Yeah, they're all great points, and I think these are all of them in different ways are concerns we deal with in our business pretty regularly. Privacy and consent definitely are high on the agenda. Like, you know, are both parties going to be across that this call is being recorded or captured, and also where is it stored in a way that, you know, that only those people who are meant to be able to access those calls and can anyone else get access to them? I guess this is where we come in a way that we are a true cloud platform. We believe that all the systems we work with have it as standard that both parties are told about the recording. We try to use best practice everywhere in the world for that, and we advise our partners and customers to do that. The platform is built that every access and is all permission-based access. There's no local storage, not like a traditional call recording. There's no server in the corner or in the data center, and, you know, who knows who's going to access those recordings. When you log into Dubber, you're actually approved by the administrator of your account who has access to those recordings. No one in Dubber can access those recordings as well. So none of our people can log in and listen to a recording. Only those with access to the account can access the recording and play it back, because the encryption is linked to the account as well. So we can't listen to recordings even through support. So if we ever have an issue, we actually have to say that you have to tell us if something's wrong with the recording. So it's completely in the customer's hands. We don't actually get to listen or see the details with that. But it's very, very private and very secure on our side.
James, okay, let's go back to security. Who is talking? What if somebody decides, well, we have a supervisor who accesses those recordings and they decide to delete them? What happens? What are the little sort of elements that stop the person to delete it? Is there like double, like, are you sure you want to delete it? How we can prevent the person to delete them accidentally? Because it happens to me all the time.
Yeah, sure. So firstly, I guess that in regards to reliability of the storage, everything's got multiple backups. So there's no chance. I think it's that we are using obviously the cloud providers everyone knows about, and we use the top tier of storage. So it's very reliable in regards to storage. The chance of Dubber losing a recording is very unlikely. If a user has permission, so they need to have permission to delete recordings first. And so let's say I try to delete something, I will be prompted multiple times. Do you want to do this? And have to commit to it multiple times before a recording is deleted. You can set up retention periods. So many businesses, like regulated markets, don't want to store longer than 7 years. And they can say after 7 years, they want us to purge the data, and we can do that in an automated way for them. All recordings that we do delete, we do back up for 30 days. And there is a 30-day period that if for some reason there was a mistake made, we can actually restore that to the account. After that 30 days, it will disappear, but there's multiple chances that the customer's got to make sure that we don't delete anything that shouldn't be deleted. But look at the others, like, you know, the resistance from employees, that's and customers about recording. That has come up from the day we started Dubber. That has changed dramatically in recent times with the likes. So we've all experienced it. We've all used the services pretty regularly, and we see things coming up pretty regularly about this is being recorded, such as even this session. I think that's changed the mindset of many people, that they accept that recording is part of business these days. And it is because we were trying to improve the quality of business, not just for those, you know, those negative reasons to record calls in the past.
Thank you very much for that.
I've got a
Dustin.
question from the audience. Can I ask the question?
Absolutely.
How do you tell agents and callers that their call is being recorded? Is it something Dubber does, or the platform it operates on?
Yep, it has to be the platform. So Dubber is always a third party in the call. We're not in call path. So in a technical aspect, Dubber doesn't sit between in any way in the call. So we're not in call path, as they call that. So in Teams, specifically, Teams manages the communication between the parties, and Dubber's provided effectively a third stream of that call or that communication. And we sit there and listen and record that off that stream. We don't send anything back into the call. So they're only receiving data. We're not sending data back into it, which means that Teams actually, and it's a standard feature of Teams. Teams will play the announcement that the call is being recorded if it's a telephone call, traditional phone call into Teams with Teams calling, or if you're in a video call like we are today, on a Teams environment, on a Zoom environment, anything like that, it will play an announcement or visually show that the call is being recorded.
Thank you so very much.
Sure.
Last question of the day. Again, raising hands moment. If you are a Microsoft Teams Copilot, are you familiar with the standard call recording features? Yes, we use it regularly. Please raise your hands now if that's aligned with what you're doing. Now, option number 2, yes, but we find it limited. Please raise your hands now. And then the third option, no, we don't use call recording on Teams.
It's great.
Yeah,
Seems like a lot of people don't use it yet. Fantastic. So that's it's hopefully you've learned a bit about Dubber then today. So the good thing is that, as I've said, it's very easy to try it and test it out with Dubber. I'm sure that if you're looking at, we learned a bit about today, you can see that there's something interesting that we do. We make it very simple to connect it up to Teams. And through the AI, I'm sure if you test or see that in practice through a demonstration or live through your own account, you'll learn a lot about your business. I think everyone who we switch it on for, their first response is, we didn't know that about our business. We're seeing a lot of data and some things that we've learned about our business. So I would say everyone should actually contact Nuvius and try to use Dubber. It's a monthly subscription, so there's not many barriers to get it.
Absolutely. What is more, you can have 30 days trial for 5 users with us on Dubber recording and trends. So it will give you the little insight into what AI can do for you. And if you want to know more about it, of course, please do contact Dustin or myself, and we'll make sure that we can set up the demo or trial for you, and you can see the Dubber in action and see if it will bring benefits to your company. Now, as a conclusion, we have a conclusion here that, and it's just one thing. Please raise your hands if you agree with the statement. Call recording with AI insights is improving customer experience and team performance. Does anybody agree with that statement?
Can I put my hand up?
Oh, you should. You absolutely. Cora, is our audience agreeing with that statement?
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of hands raising up on this question. So the most part of the audience is agreeing with this statement. I got a question in, so I'm going
Splendid.
to ask the question as well. There are two questions. The first one is, if the primary goal is to improve customer experience and satisfaction, Call Recorder or any other CX tool should focus on analyzing customer sentiment, feedback, and needs rather than micromanaging employees.
Yeah, I think we agree. I think key response to that is we've looked at what we're trying to find is we talk about customer sentiment is looking at where the caller, your customer, is going to walk away from the interaction with your business and advocate for the business. So it's not actually trying to find fault within the call. It's more trying to assess your end customer's ability or intention to advocate for your business as they walk away from that phone call. So that's where sometimes everyone takes this as a bit of a negative, that we're actually trying to, I think overall, everyone wants to improve the way the business operates and improve the way that the knowledge of their staff. And I think that we're trying to do that through the insights we're providing. So everyone can improve, a business and the employees as well.
And the second question, Cora?
The second question is, I totally understand that both parties are informed about the call being recorded. However, call agents being monitored based on this is often a challenge, and companies' policies vary a lot in this aspect of respect. Do you have any tips or takeaways?
In regards to, so can you just repeat a bit of that question again? Sorry, Cora, so I understand exactly what the context
I totally
is.
understand that both parties are informed about the call being recorded. However, call agents being monitored based on this is often a challenge, and company policies vary a lot in this respect. Do you have any tips or takeaways?
I would look at it, so most of our customers who implement that, they have to obviously work within their own policy, within customers' policy. It will vary about this, depending on the department. So we work with customers across the world that are highly regulated in regards to the unions actually control how they record calls, and they've have to get the unions involved to actually get approval with that. So there is different, sometimes it is quite challenging. It's not all one size fits all. There are different situations, but generally, I think most businesses have the ability through their policies, depending on the industry or the vertical, they can implement this sort of functionality, especially if they're using the likes of a product like Microsoft Teams or Zoom. If they're using those products, generally they would have the policy that would cover this already. So I think if they're deploying Office 365, Microsoft Teams, etc., there's a lot of functionality in those that most of the time their policy would allow them to do this anyway. If not, you'll have to work a bit harder with your customer and I suppose understand their policy before you deploy call recording across the business.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. It's only 1 minute left, so I really want to thank everybody for a very insightful discussions. Before we conclude, I want to remind everybody that there will be a recording of the webinar that will be sent to you, and we truly would like to have your feedback. Please take a moment to complete the survey that will be sent out. I want to thank you, Dustin and James, for your participation, Cora for putting it all together, and of course, thank you very much for you to joining us for this webinar. And if anybody would like to continue this discussion, please ping me or Dustin a note. And of course, we can make sure that the demo, the trial can be set up for you to see Dubber in its full glory with the AI underpinning the whole solution. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And I see you next time on the next webinar.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.